everybody, and welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for real estate investors. In each and every episode, I strive to find and bring guests together that are going to help enhance your lives and experiences and help educate you in some way on some aspect of real estate investing. And I got to tell you, so real estate investing isn't won when the offer is accepted. It's won in the months and years that follow. That comes through disciplined operations, strong leadership, and the relentless pursuit of efficiency. So that's exactly what we're exploring today. My guest today is Helene Cuadra, partner of the Cuadra Group of Companies and WealthGenius Inc. Helene's journey into real estate was far from conventional. After spending 18 years in the funeral industry, that's right, funeral industry, she purchased her first multifamily property. This was a modest 14-unit apartment building that would completely change the course of her life. So what began as a single investment soon became a passion. It revealed to her that multifamily real estate wasn't just a path to financial independence, but a vehicle for creating more time, greater freedom, and the ability to design life on her own terms. So if we were to fast forward to today, Helene owns and manages hundreds of apartments. She's deeply involved in the day-to-day operations of her portfolio and has earned a reputation for building systems that maximize efficiency, improve tenant experience, and transform good properties into exceptional investments. Now, as a partner with WealthGenius, Helene also helps educate investors across Canada and through property management boot camps, masterminds, and international retreats. She's teaching the operational side of real estate and that so often separates the average investors from truly successful ones. So, if you've ever wondered how professional investors operate, consistently increasing NOI, reducing expenses, and building high-performing teams, and scaling without sacrificing quality, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. Please join me in welcoming Helene Cuadra. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Did I get anything wrong in that introduction, Helene?
You got everything right, and it even sounded more impressive than I would have even said myself. So thank you for that.
You know what?
Sounds like
Thank
I
you.
know what I'm doing.
Thank you. You certainly do. You certainly do. I got a number of questions for you today. I'm so interested in what you've got to say and helping to learn about property management from the master. Um, I'd like to start asking about that first apartment building. You know, you said that 14-unit apartment building changed your life. If you were to look back now, did the building actually change your life, or did it force you to become a different person, do you think?
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's episode, The Savvy Investor. One thing I've learned in my real estate journey is that success isn't just about finding great deals. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people, the right education, and the right support network. And that's exactly what Savvy Squad provides. Whether you are just getting started or already building a portfolio, you'll gain access to weekly live coaching, expert guest presenters, deal analyzers, training resources, market updates, and a community of like-minded investors who are all working toward exactly the same goal as you, financial freedom through real estate. So right now, if you scan this QR code, you can take advantage of a 14-day free trial and a special membership rate of $147 a month. Now, that's a savings of over $600 off your membership. So check out Savvy Squad today and see how far the right community can take you. And now, let's get on with the show.
that's a great question. It's I think it's both. But I'd never thought about how it forced, but it definitely did. It took me on a trajectory that was very different than what I'd planned. I did not ever want to be a real estate investor. That was not my focus. That was not my plan. I loved my career. Funeral business, I know it sounds strange, but it's the most rewarding, fulfilling thing that I could have ever done. It's being with people, which I love. It's sharing time and being in a place with someone when they are at their most vulnerable and at their most darkest time. And you be able to be able to work with someone during that time was incredibly rewarding. And I had no intention of ever leaving that. I thought I would be happily funeral directing until the end of time. And when I got together with Alfonso and this is what he was doing, I thought, this is interesting. I see what he does. I see the time he has available and I see the time that he has to do other things. So I thought, maybe I could help him out a little bit. And it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years into our relationship that I started to see that I wanted to do this too. And I said to him one day, I'd be interested in partnering in something with you in this part of your world. But I don't want to do anything less than 10 units. I said 10 feels to me like that would be the starting point. And he looked at me and he says, why 10? I said, I don't know. I just don't want to do a duplex or a triplex. I want to do that. And I'm not really sure why, but I guess it was probably listening to him repeatedly about, scaling up and things that I thought maybe would be good. So we saw this property and, at first I thought, oh, I'm not going to be involved in it much. We're going to buy it. We're going to get someone to manage it. But the numbers didn't actually make sense that way, right? So this is where the forced part comes into it, where, oh, yeah, you're forced to do this. You got to be involved because it's not going to work otherwise. So we ended up buying that building, and I actually was more hands-on than I thought. So that really did change how I imagined this journey would be. I felt I'd be probably more passive, sitting in my office, maybe taking a call once a month or so from our property manager. And then here I found myself sitting in my office at the funeral home taking calls daily because I'm the property manager. So that was sort of my first experience. It's, death by fire. Let's go, Helene. Here you are. And I actually found out I loved it. It was very interesting. I would say the connection that you have with people is the same. So in the funeral business, you're with people, you're sharing, in property management, you're in someone's home, in someone's life on a very personal way. So we have access to their personal finances, to their relationships, and all kinds of things. And it's all about people at the end of the day.
All about people, absolutely. One of the
Mm.
most important things we all recognize. And I think I love the way that you have found the connection from being a funeral director to property management and real estate. I mean, it really you leveraged your people skills to the point where actually I think it's really brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
so many people forget about the human side of things and they focus just on the numbers. And I think, as we look at real estate investing, one of the first things we focus on is underwriting properties. We're all over the place trying to actually find something where the numbers work, but um, it stops there and then changes into something else where you have to look at how we're going to optimize that building. And in all of our discussions, it's been focused on the tenants as well. It's not just about trying to make the numbers work, but it's also the tenant experience. And I think that's important. I really do.
Everything is about relationships, right? So whether you're, in a corporate job, whether you're doing property management, it doesn't matter. It's all about the relationships, people, tenants, bosses, employees. It's all about relationships, right? And so it's a good mix if you have a good relationship with tenants.
Let's talk a little bit about where that value is created. So, if we were to challenge a common belief, if we were to give 10 different investors exactly the same apartment building, I know this is a bit of a fantasy, why would some of them create millions in value and others struggle to break even, do you think? What makes them different? Where do you find the differences?
Oh, well, I think that depends on what people are looking for. Some people are looking for cash flow right away. They want to see their building make money right away. They're not going to put the investment into it and think long term. I think some people are looking for that extra $1,000 a month where they can spend it or they can use it for something else. That's never been our focus. Our focus is always kind of buy and hold. And in the beginning, sometimes your properties don't make as much money. They could. You always want a property that's going to be positive cash flow no matter what from day one. But sometimes it's a small margin, and sometimes that small margin isn't enough to, make it look really sexy. It's kind of enough just to sort of, okay, that building looks okay. But I think where the difference is seeing the potential in something, right? So you can see a building and know that this neighborhood's going to be better, or you see a vision for a future where you can maybe optimize the use of the building. Maybe you can add another unit, or maybe you can see a different vision with renting storage or parking or add-ons that you could do. So I think the difference is really in what your vision is and how you can see the potential in something. So we were just went for a walk the other day in one of our properties, and nice building, 21 units, and we're walking in there, and we've sort of kicked around the idea before and said maybe we could add another unit, but we are actually now going to add another unit because we saw it and we actually played it out and stood there, measured, and so I think just seeing something outside of the box makes a difference and makes it go from a property that's good to a property that's great.
I was going to ask the same thing. I mean, really, what I wonder when you're walking a property, what are you seeing for the first time as you're walking through there that everybody else misses, and how do you train your eyes to catch that?
Oh, it's hard because you want to see the pretty, you want to see the flashy. Things should look beautiful. Like I want everything in my home. I want everything to be perfect. Everything, the pillows line up, the colors match, the art on the wall matches the lamps, and everything is perfect, right? Everything has to look great. And when I first started in that 14 unit, I was devastated when some of the things didn't look right. Oh, we have to change this and we have to change that. And look, one of the doorknobs is not the same. And I was all in a panic. Oh, it has to look perfect and everything has to be great. And that's what I saw. That's what I first saw. And when I started adding up the numbers of things, how much is this going to cost to change 10 different doorknobs? How are we going to change this to something that's going to be, more beautiful? And at the end of the day, those things didn't make money. Nobody cared about the doorbells or the doorknobs in that particular building at that particular time. And so I had to adjust I guess my radar vision. Like what do I see here that has potential? Is this going to make us money as it is? And then over time, what can we do to change it to make money? So I said when we first bought that building, and it was not a beautiful building, I said, let's change the siding, let's do this, let's change this and this. And started adding it up. And next thing you know, I'm spending, $200,000 to make this look beautiful. I've got, all these different things, and it wasn't going to make money. We were living it's a secondary market. It was kind of out of town, and the average rent at that time was about less than $1,000. So how am I going to get, this glamorous life on $14,000, for the rent? It didn't math out. So I learned to see things for dollars. So we were walking a property with someone the other day, and I walked in and they said, they were sort of, oh, it's not the most beautiful. It's a B neighborhood. It's not the best building. And it's kind of a little rundown in some places. And I walked in and I'm like, this is gorgeous, because I could see what it was. It was well taken care of. I could see what parts were potentially areas that could be improved to add sort of revenue to your building or to change things. So I look at it from that perspective, not from what I would want to live in, but what would be a great place for people to live in that they like, but also that doesn't break my bank.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's explore that a bit further. Most people talk about increasing rents, but far fewer people talk about the operational efficiency. So, where do you consistently find hidden profit inside apartment buildings?
Your utilities all the time. Efficiency, in lights, having lights on timers or sensors, it saves thousands of dollars a month. Just having those things on the plumbing. A lot of municipalities don't allow you to split the meter. The water, the meter for the water. You can do it with some, but not always. And so a tiny leak can actually cost you thousands of dollars. So little things like that, it's tenant awareness and education to tell them, if you hear a little bit of a drip or you hear something running, you got to let me know right away because that can cost a lot of money. And constant reminders of those kind of things. Just making sure that they're on the same page as I am, and that everybody understands that this is important. So those would be probably the biggest things. The utilities, garbage collection is another one. Some municipalities will provide you a service for garbage for a multi-unit building, but some don't. And so the garbage provider that you use can actually vary in price. And if you're not careful, the contracts that you have with garbage companies can actually automatically increase. So you don't always have a set amount. All of a sudden, you might notice, oh, how come I'm $500 more? Well, they'll automatically annually renew your contract and bump it up if you don't notice those things, right? So I've learned the hard way a few times that those were things, to look at. Just keeping a really good track of things, monitoring things monthly. I know especially for smaller landlords, if you're looking after your own books or if you're doing things on your own, you could say, "Oh, it's okay. I'll just do this all at the end of the quarter, or I'll do this all in 6 months, or every year I'll hand in my things to my accountant, or I'll add it all up." But you're not catching the day-to-day leaks, the little things, and that can add up a lot. We're making sure always that we're looking for something to make sure that we're tracking. So if a unit is costing extra money, well, why are we getting a lot of plumbing, bills from this particular unit? Maybe there is a bigger problem, or maybe they're throwing toys down the toilet and constantly clogging it, or maybe you just have to remind them they need to use a plunger, like instead of calling a plumber, you need to plunge your own toilet. Like those are things that can cost you a lot of money. But again, if you're not connected with your tenants, you can miss those things. You can miss them a lot. So little things like that cost a lot of money.
It's a really good reminder for everybody. The value of an apartment building, a 5 unit or more, is determined by the net operating income, and that's the income minus the expenses. So your focus is all about the expenses, how to reduce those so that you can see an increase in net operating income or NOI. And is it realistic do you think, to find, say, a 20% increase in NOI after going through all of the expenses and harmonizing and optimizing that?
It is, and especially in the beginning, there's a lot of things you can do to change things. Some of our buildings now, I'd be hard to find something that I could lower the price on. But we're just going through snow contracts this year, so we've got all of our snow removal contracts, and I was about to sign the contracts with the people last year, and I just thought, let's check it out. Let's just call around. And I actually, I believe, and I'm not sure yet, we haven't signed anything, but we have 6 properties we're going to use this one particular company for, and on average they're $3,000 a year less than what the other companies were charging. So it pays to be active and involved in those kind of things, because I didn't think I had a bad price last year, but if I can save $3,000 a year, that's significant, right? So
Right into your
definitely.
NOI. Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah,
yeah.
you just have to be on it all the time. There's also grants and other things you can get from different municipalities or subsidies. Those are something interesting to look for as well, because you can take those and not have to pay maybe for new thermostats in the units, or lighting.
Right.
We've had companies come in and do the lighting for free. So that does count in the end, right? Towards a
With
good outcome.
energy efficiency kind of grants.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
As your portfolio grew from that one 14-unit building to now hundreds of units, what kind of systems became important to you and almost non-negotiable as you grew that?
Oh, yeah, a good tracking system, a good system that you can enter in and communicate with your tenants, but also keep track of maintenance requests and the expenses. So there's sort of a multi-purpose. There's many different platforms you can use. Most of them are cloud-based, so they're easy to access within your team, and you can use them for anything from just tracking the rents and marking them paid so you know who's got it, or you can actually have the communication set up to link with the tenant, so that they can actually see their monthly payment, they can see that they've made their rent payment, and then they can communicate with you if they have questions about anything. So emergencies or maintenance requests or just comments or concerns, complaints, which you get a lot of sometimes. But those things are really important, and it's really important to have somebody dedicated to the input of all that information. AI is out there for some things, but you still need to have everything double checked. And we have a lot of our platforms are set up now, or a lot of our systems are set up with AI. But we've noticed some errors in things, obviously, if you're not careful. So you just need to monitor those things closely and be diligent with it. Like it again, for many people, is one of those things that sits on the back burner, right? You just kind of, I have to look after this, I have to do this, I have to do that. And if you're not in it full time, that's a big part of what you have to do. So not my favorite part of the job. So we have team that does it. There are people who love to do those things, the bookkeeping,
And the
you know,
platform.
yeah. And I love those people. Those are the people I love so much because they do the hard stuff, but at the end of the day, they love it. So that's important. But it's really important to monitor those things and keep track of everything.
So we've touched on this before, but let's come back to it again. So at the end of the day, the apartment buildings aren't really about buildings, they're about people. How do you create a culture where the tenants want to stay and they want to look after your properties? How do you instill that in them so that this is their home?
First of all, you have a nice property. We have to make sure everything is clean, right? You need a good maintenance team that respects your property like you do. So, first off, you can't be coming into dirty fingerprints on the windows. You can't have overflowing garbage bins. You can't have dirty corners, along your baseboards. They need to be clean. And the corners, there should be no little sand and gravel tucked in around. Should be square corners. I'm very fussy about those things because when someone comes in, they may not notice them, but it's around and it affects them, right? So not everyone is going to be like, oh, there's a piece of dust there. There's a little bit of dust on top. But I feel like that actually contributes to the overall first impression, right? You may not know why you don't get a good vibe for something, but you do, right? So you walk into a place and people get a good sense of what the building is like by the lobby, right? So, or your front entrance. It's first impressions. It's that curb appeal. Recently, we've started doing garden. We're doing landscape architecture, yeah, and in some of our properties. So we're doing a couple of them as a test, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that it has changed the building already. So we had one particular building. It's a 60-unit building, and we converted the front area to a garden, and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Little path with walking, stones and little vines in between. I could talk forever about that, but it's beautiful. And we've had some empty units and doing showings consistently. The people coming in will say, this is gorgeous. I love it. So next year, we're actually going to be adding a section for tenants to use. This is another income source. We're gonna rent out garden spaces. So we'll rent out little plots of land for the tenants. We have a big amount of space. So we're going to use that space and rent it out to tenants. So there's already been people inquiring. We'll be able to rent out a garden for the season and make a little money, but also make them feel like they have a sense of community. This is their home. We had one guy come down and he brought me a strawberry plant. Him and his daughter had made like a little strawberry thing. And so that's in our garden. Well, there's no chance that guy's moving for a while because they need to see how their strawberries do. So you want that sense of community with people where they appreciate where they live and they take pride. And you'll see when you start doing things like that, when the hallways are clean, when the outside is tidy, when somebody sweeps the front step, weekly or daily or whatever it needs, people will start to respect that. And if you don't care, they won't care. So it's important.
It's so very true.
Mm.
Um, So on the opposite side of the equation, I'm assuming you've dealt with every tenant situation imaginable. There one experience that fundamentally changed the way that you lead those properties. Is there one bad one that changed the way you actually approach it all?
Yeah, probably a few. But definitely, I think I always saw things. I'm a nice person. I like to think. I like to think that I'm kind, and I like to think that, I'm reasonable. But I always expected that other people were the same. And so I just assumed that, you know what, I'm nice, they'll always be nice to me. And, that was sort of my experience. So I think what I've learned the most, and I guess that you can get taken advantage of easily, right? I can still be nice. I can still be kind. I can still be all those things that I want to be. I just need to be aware that not everyone is exactly the same. So I think the biggest thing is in the rents. So there was a period of time when we first started where I had someone who actually became a staff member. So she was actually a site super and a property manager, and I came to realize that she was completely taking advantage to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. Uh, so what I learned from that is I can still be the same me. I can still be nice. I can still be kind, but I'll just keep my eyes open and my ears open and just watch the situation a little better and make sure that I'm not putting myself in a position again to have something like that happen. So you live and learn, right?
You live and learn. I'm afraid so. That not everybody's the same. We don't all
No.
share the same values, and some people are quite happy to take advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
So
it's truly unfortunate.
yeah. But
Um,
you know what? Most people are good though. Of all the properties we have, of all the tenants we have, and we have thousands of tenants, um, I can count. It's less than 10 right now that are causing us trouble. That's a lot of good ones, right?
that's a
So
lot of good.
yeah.
Okay, I got some quick questions.
Okay.
Okay, one KPI that you look at every single week.
The bank accounts, the money coming in.
Okay, one expense that every investor should scrutinize.
Mm, your utilities.
Okay, one book that every property owner should read.
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's a good one because I've never actually read a good property management book. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay, time
So
to rate one.
maybe. Yes.
Renovations or operations? Where's the biggest ROI in your mind?
Operations.
Yeah.
Operations. Yeah.
One technology you couldn't operate without.
Ooh. So Claude right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Or
Nice.
Claude, however you want to say it.
Oh,
But
he's Claude. He's definitely Claude.
yeah, best
What?
friend.
One mistake you'll never make again.
Oh, um, I will never put too much trust and confidence in someone who doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All right, fill in the blank. A great property manager is someone who.
loves people.
There we go. I love this. Anyone can buy an apartment building. Very few people know how to operate one exceptionally well. If I were to follow you around for a week and watch what you're doing, what would I see that's creating millions of dollars in value, but almost never shows up in an appraisal report?
Attention to detail.
Yeah.
Attention to detail. The little things, the things that just get overlooked and glossed over. Those are the little things you got to watch for.
Helene, it is such a pleasure to actually spend this time with you. I've got to ask this question. Last question.
Okay.
What is your why? What is it that is your goal and where you want to be? And how are you going to know when you get there? Tell me what you're looking for.
I can tell you I am here. My why took a long time to develop because everyone always has those whys that involve other people and missions and visions and things. And I felt very insecure with the fact that my why is actually me. My why is so that I get to get up in the morning when I want to, that I get to do whatever I want whenever I want. And I know that might sound selfish, but I take care of me first. And that is my ultimate why is that if I want to go to the gym at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I go. If I want to go on a holiday, if I want to go visit my family, if I want to take our kids on holidays, we're gonna go because we can. And that's my why. And I can honestly say that that vision is here for the most part. I mean, there's still days I have to get up and do a little bit of things that I maybe wouldn't want to, but I would say that is my why. I want to take that time for me. And I'm doing it. So I love it.
Oh, Helene, you are married to the Energizer Bunny. I mean,
Mm.
Alfonso is always on fire every time I see him. It's contagious. I see it in you as well. You've got more energy and drive than most people can ever aspire to. I really do appreciate all that you offer the community, and your warmth and generosity overflows. It's
Thank
been
you.
such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining me on Steve Cooper's podcast.
Thank you, Steve. I've had a great time. Thanks.
I should ask if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how should they do so?
Oh, so I'm not as out there on the socials as my husband is, but I can be reached. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. It's Helene Nords at Instagram, and Helene Cuadra on Facebook, and Helene at WealthGenius.ai.
There we go. Thank you once again.
Thank you.